episode review, my thoughts on tonight's episode of Flash titled The Flash of Two Worlds. And I gotta say, I like this episode a lot. My most anticipated thing so far this season has been Jay Garrick, because I'm a huge Jay Garrick fan from the comics, and seeing him, pop up here and there in Young Justice, and then even the Smallville comic, but now seeing him in live action, like in his suit and everything, I've just been so excited to see this character. And having Teddy Sears from Masters of Sex, which I had never watched, and American Horror Story from season 1, Teddy Sears has just done he's done an amazing job so far, and he brings a lot to the character that makes me look forward to seeing him week after week after week. And to talk generally about the episode itself. Again, like I said, I like this episode a lot. It wasn't the best episode, but definitely there's a lot in there that I liked a lot. So to get started, I gotta say, the villain of the episode I didn't hate. And I've gone on record before saying that I have problems with, villain of the week, and because that's something I think that Smallville and Arrow has struggled with. The Flash has dealt with it pretty well for the most part. There's a couple of episodes that I thought were kind of boring, and they're kind of uneventful, but for the most part, Flash has handled their villains really well, because the Flash has like some of the most interesting villains in comics. Like Green Arrow has some of the weaker villains because they're a lot of more obscure characters, and even in Smallville, like it was just Freak of the Week, because their whole meta-human thing. But in Flash, and especially in this episode, they've found a way to use the villain of the week without making them feel like they're over the top. I mean, sometimes they can be, but to make them feel like what they're doing is furthering, in some way furthering the story. And that's where I feel like the writers of Flash have succeeded so far. Because watching the show, like, the villain doesn't take me out of it. Like, what is going on, at least in this episode, like with like the Sand Demon or whatever his name is, seeing that, and the whole the whole doppelganger aspect to it, and the fact that he wasn't. I mean, he was still easy to take down, but just seeing, I don't know, there's just something about the villain that interested me. And he again wasn't a great villain, but how they used him made me more interested in it than I would have been, say, if like they did a similar thing on on Arrow or Smallville previously. But yeah, so there's that. Blackgate Prison being mentioned, which is a big famous prison in the comics. That was more famous with Batman, and it was featured in The Dark Knight Rises. So that's kind of cool. And then there's also the subtle Batman reference last week. So it makes me wonder, does Batman exist in this universe? Because there's been Easter eggs, here and there since the show started. Even with the newspaper from the future, there's a Wayne Tech thing on there, so it's possible he's there. But we won't. I doubt we're gonna find out anytime soon. At least not while the show's still on air and there's Batman in the movies. But besides that, Cisco's powers. I'm a little conflicted about this, because on the one hand, I'm really interested in what they're gonna do with Cisco's powers, but also I feel like I don't know what they're doing with the character, and I'm not worried. I'm just curious, because what they're doing with the character and with Cisco and his powers is something that I haven't seen in the comics, at least with that character. And seeing him in a way that, seeing him, you do the time jump thing, kind of, where he sees himself in these dire situations, and I don't understand, because Cisco doesn't necessarily have those kinds of powers in the comics. I mean, I haven't read every single comic that Vibe was in, but from what I know, he doesn't have those kinds of powers. He just has vibrational powers that can stop the Flash and stuff. So I just don't know what they're doing with Cisco's powers. I'm curious to see how he handles it, and it was nice too that they brought up the fact that the reason why he's lying about it and doesn't want anyone to know is because Wells said, hey, now that you have your powers, this is your destiny. You have a great destiny ahead of you. That makes him worried, because the villain of the show told him that, so he doesn't believe it, and he doesn't want to accept that this is his destiny, coming from someone who's a killer and a murderer and all that stuff. So actually, I like that, because I didn't like the fact that he was lying, but now that there's a real reason behind it, I like that a lot more. So seeing that, and then the fact that they mentioned Green Arrow in this from his announcement on TV from last week's episode of Arrow. That was pretty cool, and the fact that like I still think it's pretty up. I mean, you have to be stupid not to think that the Green Arrow isn't Oliver Queen, but that's besides the point. That's a whole nother show that I talk about. So there's that little mention. It's just nice seeing the connections to the world, with Flash, Arrow, and then soon Legends of Tomorrow, like all that stuff. It's nice seeing the hints here and there. And probably one of my favorite parts of the episode was the last scene showing the Earth 2 Harrison Wells. And this is something that I've been curious about since the season finale. When they first said that the character of Harrison Wells was going to be sticking around, and that Tom Cavanaugh, the actor playing him, was going to be sticking around, because obviously, seeing how the season ended last year, Wells is gone, or Eobard Thawne is gone. So the fact that they kept him, I just didn't know what they were going to do with him. If they were bringing him back from the dead or whatever. But the fact that it looks like it's the Earth 2 Harrison Wells, and they're going to bring him in somehow. I'm really curious to see that, because Tom Cavanaugh played a great villain last season, and to see him go from that to playing like the true Harrison Wells, like who we thought he was in the beginning of the first season, I'm really curious to see where they go with that. Because like as a fan of the show, I loved the Harrison Wells Eobard Thawne characterization, because it was the first time in a while that I feel like a villain, especially a comic book villain, whose powers for the most part are really cheesy, meaning he's just the exact opposite of Flash. And to make him an interesting and compelling villain, and he makes you sympathize with him, I really like seeing that. And it'll be nice seeing Harrison Wells back, even though more than likely it will just be Harrison Wells. He's not going to be a villain anymore. So it'll be nice seeing him. And also possible interactions with Zoom. And that's another thing about this episode that I really liked. It was the introduction of Zoom, and the fact that we know early on in the season, like, okay, like this is the big bad of the season. Where most times we have an idea of who the main villain is in the season, but they don't like reveal who it is until the mid-season finale. Which is more than likely we're gonna find out who he is by the end of the fall run, but right before Christmas. But Zoom himself, I'm really looking forward to how they handle this character, because obviously Zoom in the comics, as far as I know, I think his name is Hunter Zolomon, and he is like the second Reverse Flash, I think. Costumes almost exactly the same as Eobard Thawne's suit. So for the show, obviously they had to change it, and it can't exactly be Hunter Zolomon because that's Wally West's villain. But the fact that they're essentially creating their own character in Zoom, and the fact that he's like a unique speedster, he has really dark black. So he basically looks like the Black Flash for those of us who know who Black Flash is from the comics. So just Zoom, I think he looks really cool. It looks creepy, scary. All the things I've been looking for in this character. So that's really cool. Overall, as an episode, I really, really enjoyed it. There wasn't a whole lot I found wrong with it. Just the introduction to Patty Spivot, I'm going to wait a few more episodes before I give my real thoughts on how they're portraying her as a character. Because I'm interested, but I didn't like how she was like kind of like forcing Joe to be like, well, hey, like I want to be on the Metahuman Task Force. Like I want to do it. And then it wasn't until that she explained why she wants to do it, and that Weather Wizard, shot her dad in the face. And then when she was saying how like all these criminals are becoming metahumans, they're getting superpowers. I don't have powers, but I'm gonna do what I can to do the right thing and save people. And I found that a lot more compelling. So now I'm curious to see what they do with Patty Spivot as a character. And I really hope it's just more than being a love interest to Barry, because I've gone on record before also saying I don't like love triangles. I want them to write good characters. That's all I want. And apparently that's too much to ask for sometimes. But really, I don't have a whole lot wrong in this episode. It's definitely weird seeing Barry being kind of a jerk, though. I mean, I understand why he'd been through a lot with Wells, and it's character development. But at the same time, it's just weird seeing that side of Barry that we didn't really see a whole lot of last season. Like he's untrusting. He's not as comfortable and happy as he was first season. I mean, he's still kind of there, but there's that. And to be honest, I'm not sure how I feel about the potential Caitlin and Jay romance, because I don't know how to feel about it. Because in the comics, Jay Garrick has a wife named Joan and stuff, so I guess they're not going to do that anytime soon. And I just feel like, I don't know, I'm not ready for another love interest in this show, another couple. I just want them to focus on the characters of the show and the character development and the villain and good storytelling. That's what I want to see out of the show. But yeah, I think that's about it for me. Again, really, really solid episode. I'm really looking forward to next week when they talk about more about what happened with Dr. Stein and the whole Firestorm thing, and then seeing Captain Cole and his dad and all of them come together. That's gonna be really cool to see. But yeah, I think that's gonna be it. So if you guys like what you see here, you're going to hit subscribe. I posted these videos weekly reviewing Flash and Arrow. I might be reviewing Supergirl when that starts up soon. But yeah, so I think that's it. So until next time, guys, have a good one.